Namaste. Welcome for Zen Yoga's Palakasana or plank pose. Here we're going to start from the ground, and I've added a blanket here in case we wanted it for modifications. So plank pose, we're going to watch out for the wrist and then just overall strength. So there's a couple of modifications that we can do, either by dropping the knees for strength or coming down to the elbows for wrist concerns. Okay, so we can still try to work our plank pose. The key with plank pose is there's actually two ideas. One is keeping actually a lift here in the kidneys. So we're going to come forward, and what we're going to want to do is keep this low kidney space, or this Mingmen, this kidney space, from collapsing. We have to keep it lifting. How do we do that? From our foundational pose that we learned in Tadasana, or the foundational pieces we learned in Tadasana. Zipping the tight pants, pulling those low ribs in, and drawing the energy back. So do you remember? We lifted the low belly, we pulled those ribs in, and we drew the energy back here. Yes, we opened the chest. So now we get the opportunity to assimilate that foundational understanding, but flipping the body 90 degrees. So it's a little bit tricky. So sometimes when we flip the body, the mind, the spatial awareness we have to work on. So be patient and take the time with this. I'm going to start working from plank on the knees, and then we'll slowly progress, lifting up. I will give you a quick demonstration on the elbows. So here's a couple of important pieces. Wrist under shoulder, very important. Second one is actually known as Padabandha, or it's a lock of the pad here. So I have the hand, 1, 2. These 2 points, first finger, thumb, okay, rooting point, are very important. What happens is, this is also known as lion's gait. What happens is the hand collapses and this comes up. So I have to work on pressing this down into the mat. So when I'm here, first finger, knuckle, thumb, base knuckle, must root. Same here. Fingers are spread wide. So this is now our primary foundation for our hands. What we've done is we created the foundation for our feet, right? We did the front of the foot, the back of the foot, the inside of the foot, the outer foot, and all the pads of the feet. Here, this is going to be one of our first pieces. This is going to appear in tabletop, in downward facing dog, in, of course, plank, Chaturanga Dandasana, cobra pose, upward dog pose. So any hand balances, crane, Bakasana, it's going to show up quite a bit. So if I rock back on the heel of the hand, I'm going to spread the hand as far as I can. Root that outer edge of the pinky down, spread the palm of the hand through the thumb, spread the fingers, push all the pads of the base knuckles down. Spread the fingers. Then I can kind of roll forward in the hands, and I'm going to grip with the fingertips onto the mat. So I'm creating almost a suction energy. This is ultimately what's going to help with conditions in the wrist. A lot of times what we do is we kind of collapse. The hands come up, and the weight is disproportionate in the wrist and causes injury. So we have to be able to stretch and create this inner movement. It's actually this first finger here, your index finger, your pointer finger, is going to not only press down to the floor, but it's going to roll in towards the thumb. Kind of tricky. We'll go over this more. But I'm going to try and roll that finger down and create a seal or a lock. Bandha is a lock. So, and gripping with the fingers. This is going to keep the muscular action of the arms engaged so that the muscles stay attached to the bone. Watch also, if you happen to be more mobile in the joints, that we don't push overly forward. So I'm actually going to bend the elbows a little, and you'll see that it'll draw the shoulders back. Same thing, shoulder blades or scapula come onto the spine. So I'm going to root and push down. I have to find that center line, so it can't be an overarch in the back. That low belly, zip the tight pants, pull the low ribs in, but draw the sternum forward between the hands. So same alignment, just flip 90 degrees. So here I'm going to begin low plank, okay, or modified plank, by bringing the feet and the knees back. So I'll keep the toes curled under. Here's what I can't do is just kind of collapse into the pose. You'll see the low back arches, and I press into the quads with the femur bone. What I actually have to do is lift in the low belly, not at the thoracic. So you'll see here the tendency, see if I can do this for you, is to push up in the upper back and the thoracic spine. So actually what I have to do is that moves my scapula off the back. I have to bring the shoulder blades onto the back, but lift in the core of the body. All too often, the idea here is we end up lifting in the upper body. But I'm not trying to create that in the pose. I'm actually trying to soften that heart, bring it forward, lift the low body. So I'm going to work, I will bring it forward, but I don't get to collapse. So those thigh bones still lift, turn in, root the tailbone. Okay, I can drop the feet, but ideally it'd be here. Make sure those wrists stay under the elbows, under the shoulders, elbows lightly unlocked. Then I can begin to lift. Press up. Femur bones don't drop. They press into the thigh. Tailbone down, heart forward. Extension, heels back, crown of the head forward. Come down. Release. We're going to set that up one more time. Remember that the two keys for this posture, I think I mentioned at the beginning, is actually a lift in the center body and the core. So a lift here. Picture the kidneys as helium balloons. So that center of the body has to lift, and then it has to find a two-way extension, one through the crown of the head and one through the heels. Very important. So I have to lift. Ultimately, what I'm trying to do is lift the front body and support the back body. So the back body isn't doing all of the work. It's the front body's pushing. So this is lifting. It's actually coming forward, but still holding. This is lifting. And the front of the thighs, okay, are not. They're lifting. So the thigh bone's pushing back. This is lifting. Everything's kind of supported. So it's not the front body kind of collapsing. That'll make the pose really heavy. People say, oh, it's a heavy pose. Well, that's because you got to push away. Use the front body. Lift. Lift. Even in the front of the thighs. Lift. Come forward. Extend. Heels back. Crown of the head equally forward. Then the posture can become lighter. Okay? But don't collapse. Heavy pose. Lift it up. Extend. The idea is a yogi uses prana or energy and the ability to lead that with the mind to create the pose. So if all the mind is in the center of the body and collapsing, it's going to be a very heavy pose. If the mind is lifting the energy, prana, and extending it through the head and the heels along the back body, it becomes lighter. So I have to lift in the center of the body, lift in the back body, back of the thighs, back of the kidneys, lift, crown of the head forward, heels back, posture light, collapsing chi in the middle, lifting and extending energy, prana. Very important. Plank pose takes time. Yes, of course, there's muscular strength, but there's also a cultivation of understanding where the prana moves in the body. I hope this helps, and enjoy your plank pose. Namaste.